Hi there, and thank you so much for joining me. Business architecture alone can only take an organization so far, but by building upon those artifacts and techniques covered in those last two sections, you can really start to unleash the power that it does have to offer. The purpose of this section is to show you just that. I want to give you some examples to demonstrate how to build upon what we covered in those last two sections and what I mean when I say power. So this section is going to show you why business architecture is crucial to helping organizations with something like COVID-19. But then I'm also going to show you why that just isn't enough. I'm then going to introduce you to what enterprise architecture is and how business architecture ties into that. And then we're going to cover how the business artifacts are the key to application rationalization. When COVID-19 started impacting our lives and social distancing became necessary, organizations began to look at how to identify their mission-critical business functions. They did this so that they could begin to change them so that they adhered to the social distancing. There's a few examples that come to mind. One is restaurants and fast food chains. They started to close their doors to public dine in, and then they came up with different ways so that they could still continue to deliver their services. Company back offices began closing their doors, and they had to figure out a way where they could start to deliver their back office services from home. IT operations started performing all of their functions and activities from home. Even the radio station that I listened to started broadcasting right from their homes. Having the business architecture artifacts that we went over in the last section puts an organization in a position to quickly react to a situation like this. They are able to identify their mission-critical business functions immediately, and then they're able to quickly identify which activities are people facing. This puts them ahead of the organizations that don't have these types of artifacts. These artifacts enable planning sessions to begin immediately. There's also less chance or less risk of things falling through the cracks or things being missed. As great as this all is though, I now want to give you an example of why business artifacts alone just aren't enough. So if we look at what happened in the school districts, teachers needed to continue teaching their students while not using their classrooms. The school districts or the organizations started looking for collaboration type capabilities that would enable teachers and students to work from their homes and still connect and ask questions and do their assignments and learn. There's a lot of them out there, and each one has its pros and cons. Soon after they implemented a tool or a solution, it was realized that yes, it worked, but there were some concerns. Not only from a security perspective, but there were some inappropriate things that started happening. Those collaboration type capabilities cannot be looked at from strictly a business perspective. Looking at the business in isolation puts the organization at extreme risks, as in the example with the school districts. Business artifacts identify your business functions, critical success factors for the business vision, prioritization of risks and value add for the business related tasks that need to change. That's your business roadmap. They identify the tasks that need to happen in order to move the organization from where it is today to where it wants to go. Business architecture collects all of this information and keeps evolving it, but what it doesn't do is implement change. Enterprise architecture is the process of translating the vision into reality. Enterprise architecture is the key to well-orchestrated change. Enterprise architecture creates and involves this consolidated roadmap. And the consolidated roadmap is created by taking that business roadmap and then putting all of those other architectural disciplines, their perspectives onto it. So starting with the business roadmap, an enterprise architect will engage the other disciplines, the other architects, the others that are experts in their domains or their areas. These other architects will identify everything that needs to happen to implement that business task, while ensuring that the security, the applications, the technology, and information concerns are also addressed. So going back to our school district example, the business identifies the need for a collaboration type capability so that students and teachers can work from home. But then it is the security architect and the application architect and the technical architects that will be included and involved in the selecting the solution, involved in the discussions. Because yes, we want to meet the need of the business, but we also want to ensure that it's secure and appropriate and has the technical capability to support the business needs. Supporting a whole school district, that's a big endeavor, right? There's a lot of individuals involved. There's a lot of locations involved. Again, picking up something that, I'm not saying that this is what they did, but picking up something that is meant to just work at home and is more for a social aspect is not going to have all of the capabilities or functionalities in place to necessarily work for this bigger organization. So not only does business architecture drive the enterprise architecture and the consolidated roadmap, it's the key to rationalizing applications within an organization. By taking all the business supporting activities, an application architect can map those to application functionality. This enables the application architect to start identifying applications with common functionality, applications that are underutilized, and even identify business functions or functionality where there's no applications that exist. Information like this enables the business and application architect to start talking about possible changes to address the situation. And they can start talking about it from those two disciplines, and that's what makes it so powerful. Things an business architect couldn't do just by looking at the business in isolation. Things an application architect shouldn't do just by looking at the applications in isolation. Once the application architect understands what needs to be changed, then they must take into consideration the capability prioritization information. You got to remember that the prioritization of these capabilities that they prioritized was prioritized based on the senior executives, based on their needs and their wants. And they're the ones within the organization that are really accountable for all your risks and liabilities. They're also the ones they're also accountable for the value add and where they're moving. If they're reporting to a board or they have a mandate, they know what they've promised or they know what needs to happen to go forward. It's not up to the individuals on the floor to be guessing and making those assumptions. So, going back, it's okay to have some manual functions if they are of lower risk. It's okay not to add value to applications if it's not a priority. So if you take this approach to create an application rationalization roadmap, then this type of information this is the type of information that can be given to the vendors to help select the best solution for an organization. I've got to, admit that one of my biggest pet peeves that I've seen over my 30 years is organizations giving hundreds, and I mean hundreds of business requirements and functional requirements to vendors in order to determine the best solution. I find this absolutely crazy. First of all, the requirements can be interpreted so many ways for a vendor, and for them to be able to say that, yep, we can do that or we meet that, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Second, without putting a true priority against all these requirements, a priority that's been set out by your senior executives, the results are all like, they have less meaning. And then my last frustration is, why are you giving requirements based on how you do business today? How is that moving your business towards its vision? How is that evolving your business? It is not. It's giving you new, shiny new technology doing the same thing, because you're adjusting the technology and you end up creating more bugs and more problems. The business needs to adjust in order to use the technology as it was built. You know, you got to realize that the vendors creating these technologies, they put a lot of time and effort into research and development, and organizations really should be utilizing this effort. They should be, you know, adjusting their processes just enough so that they're utilizing the functionality that was put into these solutions. Now again, don't change your whole business. Like I get it, you do have some certain things that you have to do, but there's ways to start to tweak it a little bit so that you're utilizing the technology as it was built. So I'm going to stop there because I can go on and on about this, and I've really started outlining a course specifically to address this topic, which I'm hoping is going to be coming out in summer of 2020. So I want to wrap up by introducing the course that is coming out next. This new course is going to build upon the artifacts that we discussed in this course. The next course will show you how I have successfully implemented enterprise architecture. I want to share the steps that I've taken and share some of the secrets that I've learned throughout the different jobs and consulting gigs that I've had. I have run into, I bet you I've run into most of the things that you know, you've seen in a lot of organizations. I've been in both government and private sector, and there's a lot of similarities. So you can visit my website for more information, and yeah, #architecting a new day. Thanks for joining me.